Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them, and I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for these issues. These are the last two issues of Frank Miller's original run on Daredevil. 190 and 191. This is a double-sized issue. Um, the second one is more of a kind of a epilogue to kind of put the whole thing to bed, but this is really the main event. This is the climax that he started with Elektra. I have a playlist. I have every single Frank Miller issue done so far, but there's more to come. So we're going to start here with 190 and great cover here as we see the return of Elektra. This here, so um, the uh, the background here is done with not screen tones, but zipitones and duotones, which is a chemical process. And cartoonist kayfabe, rest in peace, Ed Piskor, does this great video on zipitones and duotones and duo shading and all that stuff. So that's what the background is. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cover. But there's more than that in the inside, as this is also done with that. So we start in the beginning, and we see Elektra here as a after her father was assassinated, and so she is going through this snow. A lot of zipitones here and here. And so she's climbing this mountain here. And you can see the nice vertical panels as she starts her way up here. So bottom and then climbing and then up higher. Pretty cool. Again, some zipitones right there. And continues. But she falls. And so go all the way, boom. And here she is. Great. Very well done. And more zipitones and duotones there. And here comes one of Stick's men, and he's got a deer with him. I don't know where that deer came from. And so he says, "Failed to climb, Stick. We should not have brought her here. She doesn't belong." And so he's like, "Shut up. She's coming around." So he says, "Do you know who we are, Toots? What we are?" And so she looks at him and says, "No, but I want to be one of you." Great coloring here. Klaus Janson is doing the pencils, the inks, and the colors. Beautifully done. This book, you need to see it. I own all the issues, and you should see this in beautiful newsprint. It is remarkable. Glossy paper has ruined. And so it's been a year, and she says, "I was wrong to urge her rejection," as she's getting so much better. And look at that, she's beating everyone. And Stick says, "No, you were right." And he goes and says, "You got to leave." And she thinks she's gonna go on a mission, but he's like, "Leave. You don't belong here. You're full of pain and hate. All you've learned is how to use the pain." And so he's like, "There's no place, so go." And so this guy says, "Our enemies might get her." And he says, and Stick says, "Yeah, they might." And so she meets this sensei here. She's gone to Japan, and she's going to start training with this dude here. Now, because I'm doing two issues, I am moving kind of fast, but giving you the whole gist of this. So He tells her, that what Stick did, that's just part of life. I love screen tones now being applied. Lots of just what it's beautiful. Klaus Janson is one of my favorites. This is my favorite era of Klaus Janson as well. This full brush ink slinger. Oh, it's just beautiful. So he says, you got to find my way, and she doesn't understand, and he's like, because you failed. You loved your father too much, and she wants to prove herself here to Stick. Beautiful inking job. Oh, absolutely wonderful. I have the Frank Miller Daredevil Artist Edition, and man, it's just so beautiful. This is so good. I've got, as I mentioned, I have all the individual issues, and reading this in newsprint is a delight. Just so beautiful. And so um, she she wants to find the hand, and they're like, they're gonna corrupt you and possess you, and she's like, we'll see. Will you help me find them? He says, no, I don't need to help you. They'll find you. And so she walks away. And so she's sleeping, and of course the hand goes to her, and she deals with this guy, and suddenly sees all the blades, and she kicks him toward them and goes, will one of you please hand me my clothes? Why is she sleeping in a nightgown or in a nightie? Oh, goodness gracious. And so they go to this. Oh, excuse me, I'm so tired. I'm very sleepy. And this is the master of the hand here. And she's, he wants her to wear this. He's like, it's the robe of a common Jenny. I'm insulted. And she's like, so you trained with Stig? And she says, I did, but his way is soft, slow, and hardly profitable. And so he says, welcome to that hand. We require a test. And she says, of course. And he tells her it's down there. So she jumps down and gets to see a guy here. And they fight. And she kicks him, takes the sai, and kills him. And turns out it was her sensei. And the master says, he was difficult to catch, yes, but once drugged, he served his purpose. Welcome, Elektra. Welcome to the hand. And so you see how she ended up with the sai, and she's like, Sensei. Beautiful, beautiful illustration. And so we're now in where we left off the previous issue with Daredevil and I forgot his name here. We'll see who it was here. But they're speaking telepathically here, so they're using their thoughts. And so they know that Elektra is going to be resurrected by the hand and become their weapon. And he says here that, is it Stone? I think it's Stone. And they need to stop her, or she will become like the embodiment of evil. And so Daredevil is like, they're digging. And so he goes, now. And so we've got Resurrection is the title. And here they are. And of course, we got to show her here because why? And they buried her in her costume. That is pretty cool here. So they're running toward it. This wasn't a double page splash, but they were 2 pages next to each other. So, of course, this one has the title. And I love the color. A nice magenta there. And then, of course, the second one has the credits here. So, almost a double page splash. And so here we got our credits. Frank Miller is a writer, a storyteller. What that means is he's doing layouts, but he's not doing layouts on the comic board. He's doing them like on a regular piece of paper and giving them to Klaus Janson, who's penciling, inking, and coloring. And so Jim Shooter, rest in peace, and Denny O'Neil are the editorial. Denny O'Neil, rest in peace as well. Both Frank Miller, as of this recording, and Klaus Janson are still alive. And so the Black Widow makes her way through, and we have a fight here. And so, of course, we're getting exposition, radar sense, and all that. He can hear all the sounds because, of course, he's got heightened senses. And he heard this helicopter, and they're going to put Elektra in this net here. And, of course, Stone is like, they have her. And Daredevil's like, at least we're still alive thanks to the Black Widow. And so he introduces her, and he's like, idiot, amateur. You prattle like a child while we suffer defeat after defeat. And then he apologizes. It was my plan that lost us. I should not reprimand you. I'm just tired. So, and then here we have some more zipatones and some inking, just beautifully done, and some wonderful screen tones as well. Oh my goodness. And so we are going to have a guy climbing up to go get the Kingpin, and these are two of the Kingpin's guards. You guys have seen the drawings of the This is ridiculous. There is no way this guy's climbing up a skyscraper, but it is comic books, and so he kills the guys playing lookout, and he's about to go in there, kills this other guy, and there's the Kingpin. Says, "You're dead." Kingpin is strong, so he kicks the table to him, knocking him down, and he says, "Who sent you?" Quickly, and he's like, "I'm not," and then it hurts, and he says, "Injun Joe," and Kingpin says, "Thanks," and breaks his neck. And so this guy comes through. He's like, "I heard, what's going on?" He says, "It's mutiny." So that is one of his employees, and he says that his control over the mobs is slipping, and he needs to demonstrate to them that he is not one to be messed with, and make them aware of how much they need him. And this guy lights up his cigar here, and he's like, "I got lines for a new enforcer." He says, "Keep it out. I want to try to formulate another solution." Well, so far every enforcer he's had, it hasn't worked out very well for him. So, all right, and so he's gonna go see if he can get some help, and of course, Natasha's good screen tones and coloring being applied here, and Black Widow says she's worried about him, and of course he's like, "You should be. He's an odd one," he says, and so he's complaining that he's an adventurer, can't control his emotions, his passions, in love with Elektra, and it's gonna they're gonna he could betray them. He doesn't think he will be able to stop Elektra because he's in love with her, and of course she's like, "He's a good man." And so he says, "Perhaps Stick could have taught him the way, but Stick is dead, and I grow old, and there's no one to replace me." And so Daredevil goes to ask the Kingpin essentially for help. He says the hand is dangerous. Again, you should see these colors. They're so bright here, but you should see them in newsprint, and how beautiful and delicious these colors really are. It is, man, oh man, oh man. If you have never read a comic book in newsprint from this era, oh my goodness gracious, these colors it just looks wonderful here. And so he's like, they're gonna bring Elektra to life, and he doesn't believe it, and Kingpin's like telling him he's been trying to fill the position of her since she died. She had Bullseye, all these kind of things. And this guy here is getting up. You can see he's about ready to shoot him, but Daredevil kicks him from behind. And Daredevil says, "If she returns, she'll serve the hand. Will you find them for me?" And Kingpin takes his cigarette. He's like, yes, but there's something you must do for me in return. Love the inking being done. And so Kingpin sends him to deal with Injun Joe, and there is a Turk and Grotto, and the Daredevil just walking casually. Nice night. And Turk pulls out his gun, but of course Daredevil hits him with the billy stick and says, how many are in there? He says 4. And Grotto says they got guns, and Daredevil's like, they always do. And so here we go. We got a fight. He dispatches them, and this guy here says, the Kingpin says thanks. He says, I don't need thanks. I need the address. And he gives it to him. He says it's an abandoned church. And so here she is as they are about to do their rite of resurrection here. Nice vertical panels being here. They lay the hands on it. And of course, they give their lives to their life force to Elektra. That is how it works. But Stone and Daredevil come through. Again, nice vertical panels here. And here we go. And they continue fighting. Sorry, we're looking at this this vertical panel here. Now we come up, and here you see the Black Widow joining the fight. And she gets hit by the arrow. Nice. And so they continue here, and here he sees Elektra, and he hears a heartbeat. Nice screen tones again, the nice bright colors, just beautifully done. And he tells them they hear the heartbeat, and he doesn't care. He's about to kill her. And so this guy here is about to hit him, but he's distracted. So Stone normally nothing hurts him, but he needs to be concentrating. And he blames Daredevil, and he's like, help me. And he's just concerned with Elektra. So they were right. And so he doesn't know what he can do. They're like, you're the only one that can stop her. And he's just begging and pleading, kind of like praying to her in a way here. And Stone just continues, and he just can't. And you see here kind of like some smoke in there. Beautiful, just beautifully done here. And so Daredevil comes down. He's like, I couldn't do it, just don't know how. And he apologizes, and this guy's like, your friend is done. Suddenly the Kingpin's men come and shoot him here because they know what would happen. So Kingpin sends his help, and so this guy is gonna try to help him, but Stone is like, leave me, with his sword. He's like, okay. And so he is about to kill Elektra. Beautifully done, these vertical panels, except as he touches her, he says something about her. She is clean. How? It was Murdock. Some in his futile attempt to revive her, he has purged her. She is clean, and I am wary. And so Kingpin says, confused Daredevil. He says, you wonder why I saved your life, do you not? Consider it an illustration of the true nature of our relationship. Your attack on Injun Joe was served to quell a mutiny in my organization. It demonstrated to the mobs that you are a common enemy against whom they need protection. Protection that I can provide. Consider also, Daredevil, that when you needed to find the hideout, you did not contact the police. A lot of zip tones in the figure here. You came to me. We need each other, Daredevil. We are partners after a fashion. We are the power in this city, and Kingpin lives. And oh my gosh, I almost said Elektra. Black Widow goes to him and says, where's Stone? He goes, I don't know. He was still in the church wounded. And suddenly he wonders about the fire. and he goes and they go to check, but Elektra is gone. And so um she's like, we all do what we have to, Matt. And he asks what he means by that. She goes, nothing, let's go home. So you see here Elektra is alive, and we get an epilogue, and she is climbing again like she did in the beginning, only this time she doesn't fall and does make her way all the way up. And here is Elektra. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful image here. And absolutely gorgeous. The zipitones, the duotones, Frank Miller and Janson signing it. Just a gorgeous image. Ending with this one here. So this is, in a way, the final issue, but this is the true final issue, 191, concluding these issues. And I don't think I mentioned it, but these are from 1982. And here we see Miller sort of drawing his own stuff, very Ronin. This is going to be a lot of what he's going to do through Ronin. Frank Miller pencils and inks, and you see this line being employed, and this is a lot of what is going to be in Ronin. So it's kind of a precursor to his modern style that we are so used to him with all the heavy blacks and stuff. So we are going to here, and we have a revolver here. It's a 38 caliber Colt pistol, I believe, here. And he's playing Russian Roulette. Now, there is no Klaus Janson in this issue. Frank Miller writes and pencils with Terry Austin inking. Now, Frank Miller must have been very detailed in his pencils, because a lot of the lines are, this isn't what Terry Austin normally does. So it is in my opinion that Frank Miller probably definitely left these pencils pretty detailed so that he would get the lines that he wanted here. And so he is playing roulette and Russian roulette. And who is he playing with? Well, Bullseye. And a lot of what it is his, remember, he's the one that killed the Elektra, and it's his most bitter enemy. And so he, I don't know what hospital he is in, but he walks in with a gun. So, all right. And so you can see that Bullseye is sort of he was very injured heavily, so he's sort of not even moving here, and so it just clicks here. And what this story is gonna be is it's a lot of remembering stuff here, and so he's gonna tell him a story. And he talks about this guy named Chucky. And he says here that as Matt Murdock, or not Chucky, I don't know why I said Chucky, Hank Jurgens, and he's going to represent him in a job as a public defender here. And so he comes in here. And okay, Chucky's the kid. I knew there was a Chucky in there. I just couldn't remember. So Chucky's his kid, Chucky Jurgens here. They're gonna have a meal, and the kid's watching TV, watching Daredevil fight Bullseye here. And so he goes, "Why can't my kid just watch football like a normal kid?" He says, "Dinner's ready, get washed." And so he goes and obeys his dad. And so he tells him about this video that he was watching, and he's like, those TV people look for any chance to show something violent or worse. So he turns off the television here. And so they're still talking about the TV and all the stuff. He's very conservative here. And so Matt asks about the case. He's like, I'm innocent, of course. It's all the fault of Sam Jutter, that bum, spreading lies. And Matt says, I love the black being here, being spotted here. Miller loves to just play with blacks. And he spots them really well. Just wow. Anyway, and Matt's like, they're convincing lies. He says that Hank embezzled thousands, which I guess in 1982 would have been a lot. And so up here, he had asked the kid for the rolls. And so he's like, boy, what did I tell you to pass me? He says, the rolls. And he says, what are these? Beats. And he says, do you have anything to say? He says, I'm sorry. And of course, he talks to him here. This must be the wife. And he goes, I still don't have the rolls, boy. And so the kid likes Daredevil. And look at this. Just a very uncomfortable situation, even for Matt and the wife here. And the kids, he says, are you playing Daredevil? And he's like, no, I am Daredevil. And of course, Matt just kind of listens in here. And of course, he gets up and talks to his wife. He says, hey, you said you were going to talk to the boy, that he's good. And she also apologizes. So he must be a bit of a bully. Probably everyone's afraid of him and his family. So you get the sense, without actually watching, that you sort of know the situation. And I love it, the silhouettes being applied. But then, of course, this is not, so that you can see the figures. Just, oh my gosh. And the kid says, I'm not crazy. I am Daredevil sometimes. He just really believes he is. And of course, the dad just doesn't want to hear about any of that nonsense here. So, all right. And so it turns out that the gun that we saw in the beginning belongs to Hank Jurgens. And he says, it's here to protect my family. And so Daredevil continues telling the story here. And of course, Chucky's saying, hey, I'm Daredevil, you can be Black Widow. And she goes, oh, you're weird. And so nobody wants to play with him. And of course, there's Daredevil. Matt is going to see him and takes the kid out, who is just having a ball with Daredevil here. And so they stop. He's like, you're due at school. And of course, the kid's like, man, I've always wanted to meet you. You're my hero. And he just loves how he stands up for himself and doesn't let people tell him what to do, and that he's free. And Matt continues playing Russian Roulette. Now that is actually, very well with his senses, he knows if the gun is loaded or not. So it's just kind of funny that he's doing this, because he would know damn well if there is a bullet in there. So, all right, so he thinks about the kid and stuff. And so Matt is walking, and Chucky tells him to hang back. Things are going to get rough. And he says, Daredevil now on the prowl. You see, Jutter guy has it in for the good guy, because he thinks his father is the good guy. And Matt tells him, listen, you're not Daredevil. You can't help your dad. And he's like, I am. Get in my way and I'll clobber you. And he goes, hey, it's Jutter. I better. And Matt's like, go home. And so he changes to Daredevil. Very, very cool here. But Chucky's hanging on the back of the car here. Again, Matt doing the whole shooting himself thing and pointing at it. He damn well knows the gun's probably unloaded. Even if it was, he knows where the bullet is. And so we see this meet here. Again, silhouettes here. Well, my friend, perhaps you've come to your senses. And of course, you see him here. You're trying to squeeze me, Jutter. And he knows it's Jurgen. Of course, Chucky sees him. And he says that nobody was clean. These two are both in there. Blackmail. All these accusations and all that here. So he knows. So he takes out the gun. The kid sees him. He's like, go home. And he's like, "Are you gonna shoot your own kid?" Daredevil says, and he's like, "No, I'll shoot you." And of course, he tries to, but Daredevil hurts his hand, and he falls and punches him. And the kid's just like, "Oh my god!" And so, um, he goes through to visit the kid, and he's like, just keep watching that Daredevil thing, and he goes, "Dad's or Papa's bad, or Daredevil wouldn't have hit him. And if Papa's bad, then so am I, and so am I." So, as he continues to watch the fight, and so, he's like, it's unfortunate because the kid just suffered from trauma and, being bullied and stuff. And he grabbed the gun and takes it to school and starts shooting. It is tragic, and it happens so often. Look at this, 1982, and Frank Miller's already illustrating a school shooting. Um, Stephen King wrote about a school shooting in the 70s as well. I mean, these things, um, it's just, I don't know. I don't want to say it happens, but it's um, I don't know. So he continues here, and now we're gonna have a bit of his origin with his father. Everybody should know his father was a boxer, and he was killed. And we continue here. He just talking about all of the stuff that he his childhood and the battles that he's had here, and how he was being picked on and bullied, and he fought, and his dad was like, "No, don't do that. I want you to use your brains. I don't want you to use your fists," which the dad hits him and smacks him, and he apologizes, but of course, that is what forced Matt to be Matt. And so he continues to point the gun at him, and you hear the click. Well, sorry, now you hear the click, and of course he says, "My gun has no bullets," which is what I told you. Guess we're stuck with each other, Bullseye. And this is the end. This is actually the last page. This is how the story ended. And Frank Miller's run, remember, he does end up coming back for Born Again a couple years later, about 4 years later, I think in 80, 85, 86. So 3, 4. So, just wow. Um, he, I don't know. I like it. It's a wonderful run. Um, so yeah, there you have it. I mean, uh, as of now, I have, like I mentioned, I have Frank Miller's very first um run of Daredevil all in a playlist. So feel free to look at it. I started with 158, and here we go. So Daredevil 190 and 191 by Frank Miller, with Klaus Janson and with Terry Austin on 191. Um, we we are not done though with Daredevil, particularly Frank Miller. So stay tuned, because there's still some stuff left. All right, like and subscribe, and I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.